Okay, today we're doing the door locks.
From diesel or gas pacers to rocket-powered racers, Nomads, Go-Mads, RVs, schoolies, they'll turn it, tweak it, tune it, fix it so smoothly. That's why he's Badge. Everybody needs one.
So now, everybody's wondering why we put the door handle like that. Because this door lock will vibrate and the latch will come in if you just lock it here. If you lock the deadbolt, it won't do it. But if you lock here, the door will vibrate, go down the road and open up. That's why you put the handle there. Okay, to take the lock off, like the last video, you take the 4 screws out of here and the 2 out of here, and the door lock will come right out. Okay, here's the lock here. Now remember I told you last year there's a 1-800 number and the lock number, right? The G316 or whatever it is, right? So that's the number. Now, that you phone to get, and they'll send you a replacement key. Now, this is the problem. See this little tab here and this little tab? They don't connect. So that's why when you go down the road and it vibrates, this can vibrate back in because there's nothing holding it, right? But with the deadbolt, it will go out and nothing will make it come back in. You can't make it come back in, right? So now, this maintenance to do on this is very simple. All you do is take out these 4 screws, right? If you break the spring, you can get them at Harbor Freight or Canadian Tire. One of them, or Princess Auto, one of them cheap spring kits. And take the covers off and see this here black stuff? That's what, when you go to slam the door and it doesn't catch, that's because it's sticking on that. So that's what we're after, right? That's all that's in there, a spring, a latch, and the deadbolt. Now the deadbolt piece comes apart, don't worry about it. It'll all go back together, right? And this comes out like so. So you got it all dismantled just like that. Now remember, see this here tab? This here attaches to this here, but it's not attached to nothing. It just slides there. That's how it can vibrate back. So I'll clean this all up with brake clean, of course, and then we'll put it all back together. Okay, so we got it all cleaned up now, and we have the plunger, and we got it all cleaned up. Now, what we're gonna, because we're in Canada and it gets cold, so we just put a little bit of oil on there, right? This is just, well, it's gun oil. It's a mixture of motor oil and ATF. It's very light. So you put that in there, and now you put this in such a way that it just fits in there, right? It all fits together like a little puzzle. Okay, now your door lock, this one, it only goes one way. You can only get this in one way, right? You can't put it in 2 ways. It only goes in one way because you missed the little hole there for the rod, right? So you put that in there like so. Now, this little plunger here has got a slot, and this is for the door lock. So you put that in there like so. And then this one here has a slot too. See, it's got a double slot so you can move it. So you put that on there like so. You can put a little drop oil on this one. You don't really have much problem with it because it never has too many issues. You got your rod and you put your rod on, right? So you turn it and everything works. Now, this one here is where the issue comes. Right here is where it vibrates all the time, so it gets a little rough there. So sometimes you have to take some sandpaper and clean that up a bit. So this one here goes over, this is the one that goes to the outside. You put it over like so, right? Put 2 screws in it. Now these screws, if you're going to take this out, don't Loctite them. Just put them in there snug because they're not going to come out anyway because it doesn't hold the door together. Now, the thing that's going to really burn your ass is you got to do this usually every 6 months. So this one here is the same way. Put a little bit of oil on where it slides around the door lock, the deadbolt, and you put the plate on it like so. Okay, now that you got it together and you want to try it, you just put them in like so. Now you notice that it doesn't take hardly anything to open it. Now, all I ever do with this is put oil on it. I don't usually put grease on it because what it happens is a grease. Now, if you put oil on it, the good thing about oil is, one, it makes it slide a little easier, and two, you can take brake clean with the door lock in there and clean it out. It's just I took this apart so you could see. Like if it starts sticking on you, just put some brake clean in there and clean it up and put some WD-40 or whatever on it. And then this one here, you know you got that one fixed if you can turn it by hand, because it's usually pretty tight. So that's it. Now when you put this together, you'll see there's this tab here and the opening there. That's where it has to go, right in there. And then you have to put this red lever, the lock lever has to go over too at the same time. So you have to put it all together like that, then hold it. And then put the screws in it. That's the trick. Some people really have a problem with that. But now, when you put this in, I'll guarantee you with the cleanup and the oil, your door won't slam. You'll notice that it was really hard to shut before. You'll find out a big, big difference. So, yeah, so that's all you have to really do with it. Put some oil on it, clean it up, and like I say, Bob's your uncle, right? And that's why, now, you probably heard that people say that they can't get out and the door handle moves. Well, what it is this here piece breaks. Now, the only way you can get this out is in from the outside and move that in. That's the only way. Or else you go in the inside of the door, take this plates off, and then pull that out. That's the only way you can get it out. I'm sorry, that's the only way you can get it out. Because it's not fixed to nothing, it slides, right? And we'll put it on the door and you'll see the difference. The trick to this is with yourself doing it by yourself is you put these two screws in and don't tighten them up super tight because it's got to pull the latch together when you put the screws in it. So just leave them like one thread loose and then you put the cover on. In. Just watch this, how easy this shuts. Because most you have to slam them, right? This you don't have to slam now. So when you get it in, you keep the bolts a little loose and make sure that everything works. You pull the back out and you pull the inside one out and you put the door lock. Now, just remember the deadbolt and the lock aren't tied together at all. So you got to remember that. So remember what I told you, if you lock the outside and you go out through the door and shut the door is locked, okay? So remember that. So other than that, that's how hard it is to fix this lock system. Any questions, leave it in the comments below. And thank you for watching. Perfect.
Badge, everybody needs one. We love our badge. And just remember, he's not asking.